Okay, let's start with views today. What are actually views? This is something like a restricted like transparency on the table. So let's discuss with one problem statement. Suppose there are end users or like support guys in the teams, and they will not be aware of all the complex SQL queries and stuff. So they want to get some data from the databases of that, which includes like multiple clumsy and complex queries. So to do that, they will not be having any idea how to do it or what to do on that. So they should be getting in touch with either developer peoples or the architects or whoever it is. So to overcome this, this is actually one of the best advantages of the views. To overcome that problem, we have come up with an option called like concept called views, which is restricted access on the tables. So let's say I have a table with hundreds of columns, 100 columns, and I want only set of like few non-sensitive data columns to be visible to the end user. So for that, what I would be doing, the sensitive data columns, I would not be listing in the views, and only like a few non-sensitive columns, which are safe to share with end user or any other team people or any other entity as such. So view on a particular table with just like 10 columns. So we will be creating view on upon the table. So this is the basic. Who's that? Please drop yourself into mute, please. Yep, thank you. So to create a restricted access on the table, we can use views. So today we'll see how to create views and like how to access data from it and whatever, like all the options associated with it. So in the previous session, I had like one particular big query. We'll pull up that one right as it. I guess it is from session 5, which is on basic joins. Actually, we discussed it. If not section 6. Now this is in it as well. Section 7. This is all about string functions. Where did we discuss in session 4? Is it? No, not this as well. In which session did we discuss about the joins? You guys remember? Yeah, here we go. So I have this particular query. We discussed about like what to get like in the previous session. So giving this particular query to the end user. This is with the database AdventureWorks 2012. Let's try to execute this. So it obviously gives some details, like hundreds of rows. It says 296 rows in here. So this is of total of 296 rows. But giving such complex query or like the ones the normal support or tech support guys won't understand this as much. So what we will be doing to overcome on this particular what you called the problem. So for that, we will create a view on the rows or on the columns written by this particular query. So we have done all the complex query stuff, and we are just giving us it a view. So for that, just with the basic one, just whatever object we create, we follow the same structure with the same syntax. We give create command, and with the object type, it is view, create view, and view name. Let me say this as sample view, and we give as. These are the keywords that we get on. So here followed by which of the things that will fall under the content of the view. Let's say I want to put all of this into this particular view. So let me test it here. So let's try executing this. Sample view, order by. The order by class is invalid in views. So we should not be using order by. Let us just comment it and let's execute. It says command completed successfully, inquiry executed successfully. So we now have this particular named view to get all this data in single go. So for this, I would do select star from view name. What it does, it gives the same 296 records. Whatever the result of this particular query that we had been doing all the time now. So what if I want to do some aggregate functions on this? So let's try that as well in the in the following time. So we can do order by or whatever we want on the view, that also possible. So what this particular statement did as internally is that it just selected all from all this data. So the simplest form of representing view is this. So whatever the things I've put in, that contains all this the sample view keyword. So if I execute this again, I will be getting same 296 records. So let's start from what it says. Oh, one sec. What is this error? What it says. It says incorrect syntax. What did we miss here? Are we complete with this? Okay, no issues. Let me try with another example of it. So the internal calculation or the internal way of execution for the to get the views is as this follows like this. So whatever the view we defined it on with like number of columns or number of joints being defined on, we will be getting that as data. Same as this actually. So this is up with a basic creation of like view. So what are like why we actually use in the real-time scenarios. So one thing we discussed is about the factor that like hiding the sensitive data and providing like simplest way of getting data for the other entities or like other departments or other employees or as such, like whoever that the other entity will be doing that as such. So those are like few of the advantages. One is that security. You can restrict other users to access your table data, uh, like with the sensitive information, which is being like account information or passwords information or whatever to access it. So you can restrict that, and we can create like a simplicity with that. Simplicity in the sense like we just give this particular view name to get all the data of this particular queries. So are we clear on this? So these are like basic advantages of the view: simplicity and security and like complexity reductions and consistency. We don't need to write all this uh, whatever the inside complex queries there or insides complex logics that are to be written rewritten, or sometimes we should be like writing so many times, so that can be like overpassed with it. And we'll discuss in detail about the other factors or like other concepts associated with the views. So one is that we have created a sample view now. So what if we want to rename this particular view? So that we can do with like go to databases and your database, and this particular views folder, you can see it in here. So this particular view folder contains all the views that has been created. So I have created this particular view sample view. So just go on the right click and where is it? The rename option? Here it is. So instead of sample view, I just give sample view test. And it just renamed to itself. Now I will try to execute the old with old name. That says invalid object from the database. So here I will go and give the sample view test. So this gives me the same one. So this is how we do the renaming. And what if like we would like to delete this particular view? So that can be done by just the command that drop as we usually use. So it is just that drop view. So drop and followed by the type of the object and sample view underscore test, our view name. Let's try to execute that. It says command completed successfully, and let's try and get this data from the sample view test. It says sample view is invalid object. So see, if you could see here, it's still present in this. That is because it did not refresh the like objects with the, I mean, in the objects explorer. Let's try refreshing it. it does not have any view called sample test. So let's go back to our practitioner database. And we had like few other things that we discussed, like to get simplest understanding from the simplest understanding on the joins. So the same ones I will be using today for better understanding of the views examples. So let me comment out all these. So these are basic things that we can do on the views, like to create or to view, and to remove, how we remove the views. And we have one more particular type called materialized view, which is also called as like indexed view. So this is the one thing. I forgot to mention one particular detail about the view. View does not store any data. It just goes and fetches the data from the tables that's been defined as the description of the view, and that will be displayed from the from the view. So with a basic example to demonstrate that, I'm gonna say sample view in our database practice session. What it says, invalid object orders. Oh, sorry. This particular tables all are there in AdventureWorks only. It said sample created successfully. It just so and so details. So what if I want to get only the particular columns from the view as well? That also we can do as in this way. So it just returns order ID and the name. So this is how we can actually get the projections from the views as well. Projection is nothing but the particular column selections from the database tables. So this is a view projection. And in order to create index view, so here we did not store any data into the sample view object. But what it does was it just when it goes into the database tables and fetches the data. So here, obviously the performance will be a little weak in nature because it obviously have to execute the same query with the same number of complexities in the query. And like it has to go and hit the database tables every time we execute the view. So to overcome that, we have something called indexed views. So next view is it is like we create views on basis of on basis of the underlying schemas of the tables. Schema is nothing but the structure of the table. So that we also call it as like materialized views. So how to create that particular materialized views? And materialized views stores some data about the tables, like the schema, underlying schema, and as such. So to create indexed views or materialized views, we use two keywords in here. It says with schema binding. We provide this particular two keywords after like create view statement. Create view, and we go as sample underscore one view name with schema binding. What it says is it is just gonna create a view with underlying um, schemas of the tables. So it just goes to the tables and gets all the schema. It just depends on the particular the defined tables. So if I say create a particular create a view with schema binding as select so and so details from orders and customer table. So what it does is it is gonna create a particular schema binding with this particular two tables such that the search will be like way too faster than normal views. So the first step of creating indexed views or like materialized views, we create a view with schema binding. Let's try creating this. What it says, cannot schema bind view sample one because orders is invalid for schema binding. Name must be in two-part format on the object cannot reference itself. Let's overcome that. Somewhere we have ambiguous columns or like ambiguous data. What it really says cannot schema bind view sample one because the name orders is invalid for schema binding. Okay, it says orders is invalid. Why that is happening? Let's see what we have with orders. I guess we don't have any primary keys or any of that such. So to select to get the description of the table, like what it actually contains or like how this table is being created, we can do this option. Okay, it says order ID integer null. So we should be creating that as not null actually. Let's try to alter if it is possible. What is with order? Sorry, it's orders. Again. This command is completed successfully. Let's try getting this script table as create to new query editor window. It says integer not null. So Let's try executing this. Even still, I'm not sure whether we're gonna get this particular one, the materialized views on the sample one. What it again says, we have something like orders is invalid for schema binding. Let's flip it over with some other join condition. It's the same. Okay, let me verify and get back to you on this. So whenever we create a view, like whenever we create a materialized view, we give this particular keyword with schema binding to get the schemas and bind it to the this particular view that we give as a name, and that will create like a view with all the schemas binded, and then we create a non-clustered index or like clustered index. Let's say like index on a particular sample data, I mean sample one's view OID column. So that is like we just create non-clustered, okay, and with the index name called non-clustered index on CID customer ID, because that will be like obviously a unique one on the view name of, we have just ID. So this is how we create non-clustered index on a particular views column. This is to create a view with schema binding option, and this is to create a particular non-clustered index on a particular column of the sample one, which is the created new view. So this is the process that we use to create materialized views. So advantages of this materialized view is that it is like much faster than the normal views. So this is about the basic, all the details about the views. Any dots with functionalities or like any dots with the session so far? Creating a materialized view, that I will give you with a proper example. It is just that our orders and customers tables schema has not been defined properly. We'll do with that sample table. I'll create that and I'll show you. Apart from that, any other doubts from so far? Okay. And one more thing I wanted to show you guys was that how to like get all the views that are present in the database within a particular schema. That is like to find or to get the number of views or to get whatever like the object type that's been present uh, in the database. So that we will be doing with system objects, which is most likely like stores all the object information uh, irrespective of the object type. So let's try to get our sample view that we created in this what do you call in the database. So let's select from we have something called sys dot views. It says get all the details like get all the information from system dot views. Let's try getting this. We have in here like with a text format. See, we have this. These are the views that we have like in the database so far. So our sample view, which is of this, and we have object ID for, associated with this, and schema ID is one. It depends on the schemas that we use, and we have type V called view type description. This is view, and when we created and what like when we modified, and these are like several details of the particular view that's associated with. And one more thing we get from is that select stuff from one more table, which is like system dot objects. It contains all the objects that's being created into the database. So here we have like plenty of objects uh, and type description. We have multiple things. So system table, and we have like procedure will be there, and see here views are there, some indexes, check constraint, default constraint, whatever the object that you create on the database that will be stored in the system dot objects. So if I want to get the views present in this with the help of like system dot objects table, I would mention type is equals to p. This gives me all views in which my view also present sample view. So this is how we list out all the like objects that are present in the database. Any doubts so far? Okay, next thing that we are gonna discuss is that creating or like using, deleting, dropping, modifying all the things about procedures. What actually a procedure is? So it is like the set of statements that are like being defined under one particular object that can be defined. That's how the procedure can be defined. Like in other ways, uh, a group or like one or more number of transactions that's being operated or like being done on the tables are like kept into one particular umbrella object. That also procedure can be defined. So we have like several what called structure components, you can say, that we will be discussing. I guess that that's discussing about the session of the about the procedure will be like long, more than an hour. So whatever possible today, that will be we will discuss today, and let's continue that in tomorrow. So we will be having the basic things about the stored procedure, how to create, uh, and how to pass parameters, and how to declare some variables, and how to use output parameters. First one is input parameters, and this one is output parameters. And we will be like discussing something about like some of the control flow statements you might have heard in any of the other programming languages. So what are like control flow statements? How the control of execution control should go in that particular procedure, that we will be controlling with some of the control statements, such as like if else, you might have heard, while you might have heard, this is a particular this is a loop, and break and continue, to break from the loop or to continue it within the loop, or these are like several things in the control flow statements. And we have cursors. Cursors are the one which is like a temporary or a placeholder for the data throughout our execution process. And one more important thing that we should be discussing is about error handling in the procedures. So error handling in the procedures will be done with try catch, obviously. Whichever programming language you choose, there will be obviously uh, a method to do error handling, which is also like can be said as handling the exceptions, or handling the runtime errors, whatever it is. So with that try catch, we can handle the errors that's been generated at the runtime. So which can be called as like exceptions. So now what is exception? Exception is um, unexpected error, or like unexpected error in the runtime. So you will be operating, like performing several actions or doing several transactions on the table. So unexpectedly one error got up, like popped out. So at that moment, the execution will stop then and there. To overcome that, we use try catch. So whatever the possible statements that gonna raise error, that can be kept under try, and we will catch that error. And we use raise error, uh, like raise error keyboard, or the function to show the user defined errors. And we have throw keyboard uh, to just throw an error, or like to display an error to end user. And we have dynamic SQL. It is just that dynamically SQL statements, flexible SQL statements. We just pass on some few parameters for a query, and it just does the job. So today we'll discuss about like basic things, how to create procedures, and how to add parameters, and how to like get to know about the variables. So let's consider a query. Um, what do we have? Tables, orders, and customer. Let me go with the customer. So it just contains customer ID, name, and city. So let's select individual columns, customer ID and name. I don't want the city for this case. So for that, I would say select cost ID, name from customer. So this should give me the customers. So this is a spelling mistake. This will be giving me only the customer name and ID. So let's consider this as a basic command. and let's order by descending. What is this? We need to give the cust ID. So it gives the details from 6 to 1. So for this, let's create a small procedure to get the details from a customer table in a descriptive order. In the descending order of the customer IDs. So for that, let's create a basic and small procedure to do that. For that, we just use same create command. Create is the one that we use for all the creation of the objects. And we need to define object type. So that is procedure. And we should give procedure name. So that I will give a sample proc. So this is the sample procedure. And we give as. So till here, you might notice similarities with the creation of the view as well. So we create in the same way. So to mention create, there we will mention create view name, as we will mention to know about like same way. And we define to let the compiler or SSMS know about where to start. We define begin, and where to end, that will be end. So this is how we create a basic stored procedure. So inside that, whatever we want, we can keep it in. Let's execute this and see what is the result. It says commands completed successfully. By means, it said like sample procedure has been created. It contains like multiple statements. For now, it is one single statement. And to see the procedure, just like I like whatever the present that's present in the databases, we can use here. This is also the object type. Sorry, this is also a particular object that's been stored inside the database. So we can just go and see what is the object type for procedures. With that, like we can directly get. I guess it should be SP, if I'm not wrong. Stored procedure that it's not SP. Oh, it's a P procedure type. Sorry, the type object type is P, type ID, and it called us SQL stored procedure. Let's see. We have our stored procedure listed here. That is sample procedure. So this is how we get to know about the details. The object that is present in the thing in the database. And what if we just know about our procedure name and we don't know anything about what it actually contains? So for that, we will be using sp underscore help text. This particular thing, which actually takes procedure name as a like a basic parameter, and it gives all the data, all like whatever the procedure, it gives the procedure description to be very clear. So it gave me the project text we created as this. So this has come from Database Management Studio. Oh, sorry. Server. So here we have created a basic stored procedure. And how about like how we execute the stored procedure. So to create the stored procedure, we just like do all the uh, properly syntaxed queries or like properly syntaxed statements to create a stored procedure. I mean, and we just click on execute. That will that will create the sample procedure or like a stored procedure for us. What if you want to execute that particular procedure? So that can be done using execute statement exec and followed by the procedure name. Let's execute this. So it gives same output as this query gives. So this is how we create and we execute stored procedure. I guess we should have one more keyword, execute. I'm not sure whether that's going to work or not. It depends on the different server management studios. With Oracle ones and Oracle side, it's different and same way. Let's type this statement. Yep, this both work. So this execute statement and exec, these both commands can be used to execute a procedure. And what if we want to modify the procedure? Let's say I want customer ID and as well as customer name. Along with that, I want the city as well. So for that, if I just create this procedure again with some other name, that gives me a redundant objects in my database management studio. I mean, in my database management system. So for that, what we will be doing. So we have discussed about alter statement, alter command. So whatever the object that we are going to alter in that like with the alter command or the alter keyword, we are going to alter or like modify the particular procedure. For that, we can say alter and procedure name, or it is sample procedure. As same one, begin also same, and at the end it will be end, and in between this I would like just do whatever the changes I want. Select cursed ID, customer ID, name, city, from the table called customer. I'm not using any order by class here now. And let's see how it actually works. Execute. It says command completed successfully. And let's try to execute up with exec command. Execute sample procedure. It gives me the updated results. So previously we had the descending order of the customer on basis of the customer ID, but we now have the default order from the table, which is ascending order. So this is how we get and we create and we alter database procedures and stored procedures to be improper. And we have another way to find like what are the database, what are the procedures that are available in my database. So that is how just refresh the Object Explorer and go to the programmability. Here we have a lot of other types of objects that's been present in here. We have rules, types, assemblies, database triggers, functions, stored procedures. So we have stored procedures that's been created for now. So this is the sample procedure that I have created a moment back. So We can alter from this as well, from this particular Object Explorer window as well. So just right click on it. We go on to the option modify. So this takes me with another output window, which already has alter statements being defined on it, and this procedure that's already been defined. So we just change the things in here. It just and then execute. It goes good. So this is how we can alter the procedure. So what if we want to delete the procedure? So let's try from here. We have delete option here. If you want to go by graphical user interface, you can just go on delete here from here. It says general and details of this stored procedure. If there is any dependencies, you can see it from here. It just does not have any dependencies. It's just a sample procedure. Click on OK and just delete it. So now it's no longer present. And let's try to execute this same execute statement. What it says, could not find stored procedures, sample procedures. So this is how you can delete the stored procedure as well. I'm going to create it again to show how we can delete the procedure programmatically or like with query. What it says, I have executed alter statement. That's why it's throwing an error. Let's create first, and then let's see what we will be getting on that particular query. So this is the previous one that I've created, and we have drop command to drop the object, and we define the object type that is procedure, and the procedure name sample procedure. Let's select the line and execute. It says command completed successfully. Let's try getting the details from sample procedure. Let's execute this. It says could not find it. So this is the two ways to delete the procedure or to drop the procedure from our database. So here we discussed about how to create a procedure and how to alter and how to drop and alter. That is in two different ways. One is with Object Explorer and another one is with the proper commands, alter and drop commands. Any doubts so far? Okay. If you guys are good enough, and we can continue with the parameters, or if you want me to stop the session to today's session in here, this moment, we can go with that as well. So it's on your call. Shall we continue or we'll continue in the tomorrow session? Possibly tomorrow, by tomorrow's session, we can complete a stored procedure section completely. So whatever the control flow statements and exception handling can be discussed, and parameters, how to pass and how to get output parameters, all those things. Okay, let's continue with the parameters for today. I'm gonna create one more procedure. I guess we have a table called student in our prac session database. Let me see if it is still there. So we have only employee table. Let's see what is the content of the employee table. It has only DOB. It does not has any age or anything. Okay, it has salary that we can count it as for count for our parameters. Okay. So we have created a stored procedure. Let's say a sample procedure. I will create it right away on the table. Sorry, on the table employee to get all the details of the employee. I call it EMP proc. What it does is that for now, it just it just gets all the details from employee table. And let's try executing this. It just returned all the details from the employee table. What if I want to get only specified number of details, or like only the records which satisfy my condition that I or like yeah, which satisfy a condition that I define. For that, I would say I'll alter my procedure for now. Alter procedure and procedure name EMP proc, which takes a parameter within like open parenthesis. I would say salary parameter. I want to display number of like the count or like the employees whose salary has been like greater than some particular threshold value. So I would say accurate salary, which is actually taking money. This is the data type that we should be giving. So I'm taking salary as by input parameter, which is of type money, and remaining is same. And let's just select star from employee where salary is greater than the provided salary. And so you could see here, this is my input parameter at the rate salary. So whatever the parameters that we pass on to the procedure, like what that we define on the procedure, that should be prefixed with at the rate symbol, at symbol. So let's execute this alter procedure. So it says command completed successfully. To get the details, to execute this particular procedure, what we use is same command exec and procedure name Let's try executing this. So it has some red underline. Oh, just a moment. It has some underline with red underline. So procedure or function, EMP proc expects a parameter at the rate salary, which was not supplied. So this is the error message that I could pop on. Let's try executing without not mentioning that. It says expects parameter at the rate salary. So for that, I would be giving the number, like it's money, right? So 4,000. Execute employee, and first parameter is 4,000. It gives the only employees whose salary is greater than 4,000. So we can see now employee number 2 is not there, employee number 6 is not there. And we have like in a different order. That's how, this default order that's been stored in the database. Stored in the database table. So this is how we define parameters. What if there are like multiple parameters? Like if there are some 25 parameters, we can't like remember all the parameter order, right? First one is employee ID, second one is name, third one is salary, and so on. So we can't remember all those order of the parameters. So if I'm giving the values directly in this way, the procedure will take only in the provided order and the defined order of the parameters while we create or modify the stored procedure. So for that, we have something called named parameters. So that how it works, I'll show you with this example only. So it's just that at the rate salary is equals to this 4,000. Let's see and execute what it returns. It returns the same value, but it's just with a named parameter. So this is a little basic about the parameter passing. We'll discuss in detail tomorrow, like how number of parameters and with the named parameters, and as well as few of output parameters, and with the different types of parameters, like what we say. This is a integer or money type parameter. We can pass a varchar and we can pass date, whatever the data type that is available in the database system. So this is how the basic stored procedure creation and execution with values of parameters works. So any doubts so far, guys?